Hey guys, what's up? It's the Pretty Boy Offense. My name's Saj, and I'm going to talk about my top three games I love this week for Survivor, and top three games I hate this week for Survivor. So week four of the NFL season, we've started to use some of our teams that, if you're using my strategy, were teams that we were confident with. So already I've gone through, have them over here: the 49ers, the Patriots, and the Broncos. So I think at this point in the season, we can celebrate the fact that we've used the Broncos and the Patriots, save teams like the Chiefs and like the Packers and stuff for like later in the year. Always good for that. And I'm just gonna like now that we have an idea of what these teams are and like the injuries and stuff, we can start like making some better assessments of these games every week. As some of you might know, I had a second team in the same survivor pool. In the first week, I took Cincinnati over, or I took the Vikings to beat the Bengals, and that game went to overtime. Vikings lost. I think if they play that game at this point in the season, the Vikings probably win. But I mean, that's the NFL, right? I mean, any given Sunday. But yeah, so now we have the benefit of like actually seeing the trends of these teams, how well they're playing, how good their schemes are, like matching up with the opponents and stuff like that. Those are things I'm going to go through with these love and hate games. The love games, three games I would definitely pick for Survivor, and the hate games are three games I would stay away from, and I'll give you the reasons why I stay away from all those games. All right, so start it off. Three games I love. Right now, I think at this point in the season, a trend you'll see with the three games I love is these are high-powered offenses that when we talked about saving teams, these are like the weeks that we want to save them, because there are some games here that I think are like really close to being trap games, and we want to stay away from those and make it through this week. So that's why my first game is the Chiefs versus the Eagles. So now I know the Chiefs have been playing some bad football like recently. They're the bottom of their division. They need to get a win, and I think this is just a situation of a good team versus a bad team. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, who's playing like decently this year, he needs to be better if he wants to win like games, especially in that division. But they're playing the Eagles, who the only reason that the Eagles have been relevant at all this year in getting points and like moving the ball at all is because of Jalen Hurts' legs. And I just think in a game where the Chiefs can score as many points as they have to, especially with their backs up against the wall like they are now, where they can't miss a step, especially in the AFC, that the Chiefs are going to win this. The Chiefs have to win this, and that's what makes them such a really nice team to pick this week, because they have to perform. And I trust that team to perform. How I feel about the Chiefs moving forward against like some of the better teams, like not very strong. I don't think there's going to be a weaker team for the Chiefs to really go up against. Like combining, and by weaker I mean what the moment of the season means right now. Like they need to get this win. You can't get three losses. All right, so my next game that I absolutely love, Packers versus Steelers. Again, Packers are a really nice team, and we save them for weeks like this where the hate games are like so plentiful that I don't really know how to go on some of these like 50-50 games. I think the Steelers are a bad team. Ben Roethlisberger isn't doing it. The receivers aren't there. Aren't producing, I should say. They're like Claypool's there. Deontay Johnson's like getting healthy and stuff. Najee Harris looks good, but he can't carry this team. And that defense is still trying to fill up some holes when TJ Watt's not playing. And when he comes back, is he going to be full health? Yeah, I'll take the Packers, who just had an incredible game against the 49ers, riding that momentum against the Steelers. So pretty easy one there. And then the last one, Bucks over Patriots. I know there's a lot of narratives in this. I talked about it before in one of my other videos. I'll try and keep this short, but I just trust Tom Brady and Bruce Arians to beat Belichick over Mac Jones and Bill Belichick to beat, the Buccaneers. It's going to be a fun game to watch, especially for the storylines. But in terms of the actual productivity, I think it's a real question of how much do the Bucks win by. Another game I do like is the Bills versus Texans. But I've been downing the Bills a lot. So it's kind of in the same vein of like these other games. So I know this is technically a fourth game, not a third game, but this is I wouldn't take this one. But Josh Allen looks good. When else can you take the Bills? I would just like to save them for when they play the Jets, right? So I would hold off if you're willing to use one of your big hitters. Use one of the Chiefs, Packers, or Bucks. Don't use the Bills yet. They're not in the echelon of those big hitters, and they also have easier games coming up, which would be a better chance to take them. All right, so now for 3 games I hate this week. Colts versus Dolphins, just a lot of question marks. Dolphins with the quarterback situation with Jacoby Brissett. I like Brissett as a backup QB. I think he played great pushing the Raiders into overtime. Couldn't land with some of those end zone shots in overtime, which would have been awesome if he could, but they didn't. And then the Colts with Carson Wentz, he's the biggest question mark in this league. The rest of that team's awesome, but he's the one that kind of keeps that bar afloat on like how competitive they will be. And it's just, he's not doing it. So I could see this going either way. Like Brissett comes out, manages the game enough, they beat the Colts, or maybe it's like a defensive like fest for the Colts and they swarm Brissett. He's prone to making mistakes. And then Jonathan Taylor is just asked to run the ball and they take over that way. You can see it going from either side. So I think these teams are relatively close in talent at this point right now, especially like ceiling wise without Tua being there. I think if Tua was here, the Dolphins would have been a good get, but without Tua, not a fan. So I want to stay away from that because I can see that going either way. Don't touch Colts versus Dolphins. The next game, Panthers versus Cowboys. So Cowboys are playing great, and the Cowboys are close to being like a bettable team for me. But the Panthers have had a super easy schedule. They are 3-0, but their defense plays so fast, and so does like Dallas' defense plays super fast as well. But it's just a situation of, okay, let me see the Panthers face some adversity now. Let me see them come back down to earth. Let me see if they can reestablish kind of what they are as a team. And especially with the J.C. Horn injury, you kind of want to see how their secondary stacks up because they've been buoyed by how dominant that defense has been. And losing that piece sucks, and then losing Christian McCaffrey sucks as well. But I think Chuba Hubbard can fill in well enough for the Panthers, well enough to be the Cowboys. I'm not too sure. And then on Dallas's side too, their O-line's healthy. Zeke and Pollard have a healthy rotation. Dak's playing incredibly for what he needs to be, what he's been asked to do. And will he match up with that defense well? I think the pass rush does get to Dak this game, so that'll be something to keep an eye out for. And I just don't want to, if I'm ever betting against the Panthers, it's going to be when I know that they can the team that I think can beat the Panthers is going to cancel that pass rush, and I just don't know yet if the Cowboys O-line, even though it is healthy and playing good on run plays, if it can stop this pass rush. So I want to stay away from that game just because I can see it going. Again, I can see it going either way. This next one is a really interesting. There's a really interesting reason I want to stay away from it. The Browns versus Vikings. So I think the Browns do win this. They are the best team in this game. They're probably one of the best teams in the NFL, probably the best roster in the NFL. And it's just a matter of Stefanski going back and playing against Zimmer, the guy he coached with and coached under. There's so much familiarity between these two teams. And the Vikings are kind of on an up right now. They're feeling pretty good. They just beat the shit out of the Seahawks. They handled them so handily. Can the Vikings O-line, which is playing pretty well, and Kirk Cousins is like playing incredibly, this is going to be like a game that really defines the Vikings seasons. If the Vikings can beat the Browns, which is extremely possible because they match up well and Kirk Cousins is playing incredibly, this could like vault them into like playoff contention. If they get like, this is a game that they should be losing, but you win a game that you should be losing. Now you manage your schedule appropriately, and you're in contention. You won't just be bullied by a bunch of the NFC West teams and stuff like that for those wildcard spots come the end of the year. And then for the Browns, they've had such a hard 3 games that now coming into this 4th game with the Vikings, yes, it's a step down an opponent, but when you have the Vikings playing as good as they are, even with you being the better team, there is a chance that you lose this. So I just don't want, and then with the, like I said, with like kind of the muddied waters between the coaching staffs here, and they're going to be so familiar with each other. It's just like this big X factor of that could flip the script for either team, and I don't really want to be on the losing end of it. So that's why I don't want to touch this game at all. I know there's a lot of narrative-driven stuff, less kind of like football fact stuff that people might be looking for, but these things play out. These are like the reasons some teams get like, bullied by other teams in their divisions and stuff like that. So things to always note. And then another game I want to stay away from. So, like, I give you a fourth for love. I'll give you a fourth for hate. Titans versus Jets. It was recently just mentioned, like today, that AJ Brown and Julio Jones would be out. I didn't know that they would both be out in my last video. So for this video, I thought it's important to touch because the Jets have kind of been like the speed bag in the NFL right now. I know a healthy strategy last year was always to pick the team that was going against the Jets, and you would have made it very far in the season if you did that. And this year, I even put that to the test a bit with the Patriots and stuff, just taking a team that I knew was playing the Jets. But right now with the Titans, without Arthur Smith, with them running the lowest amount of like run pass options and like in the league at the lowest percentage, and that's what they were built on. That's how they were successful the whole time that they were making playoffs and doing things with Arthur Smith, was because they were the highest like RPO percentage team in the league. You're not doing that. Your team doesn't really have a real rhythm, hence the Cardinals game, hence the Seahawks game. They kind of flip-flop, and it's whenever you live and die by the Derrick Henry sword, even more so when Julio Jones and AJ Brown are out. When you have both those guys out and you're forced to use Derrick Henry, yeah, 100%, no doubt in my mind, you are the better team than the Jets. But is there a world where Zach Wilson just comes out and throws the ball, and like maybe like let's say they get 10 points up on you, like accidentally, because that's the only way the Jets will get a lead accidentally, is do the Titans really have the manpower to then crawl back into the game or fight back into the game or do whatever? Because at that point, you keep running Derrick Henry, you're just killing your own clock, and the Jets just need to do something. That defense is playing okay. It's nowhere near what it has to be competitive, especially in the AFC. So yeah, I just think there's just a lot of question marks there, and that's like, you guys keep hearing it. That's like my theme. It's just like the question marks. Stay away from these like scary narratives and these unknowns, and let's just take the most guaranteed stuff that we can. And we've done enough, I think, in the first 3 weeks to give us the opportunity to take a team like the Chiefs, the Packers, the Bucks, and not hurt ourselves moving forward. I mean, there's only 17 weeks of the season. It's a lot, but we can ration out these top teams. And I think this is a week where so many teams are dealing with so many things. Matchups don't really make sense for those like mid-tier teams that like, yeah, let's just cash in one of these big guys. And I think on that note, the team that I would be cashing in is, I probably want to go with the Chiefs. I think I go with the Chiefs over the Eagles as my guarantee. Do they get a weaker opponent? Maybe. But like I said, right now in the season where I know that they need this win, like, could you imagine that? Like, the world would burn down if the Chiefs literally lost this game. So I think they know that they have to win. I expect them to win. The Packers are a good team, but they stay relatively healthy. I trust Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams like moving forward. They'll have some decent games against I know the Lions play them close for the first half in their first meeting, but they'll have a Lions game coming up later in the year. Does it get any easier than the Steelers? Maybe not, but yeah, no, I think I think that the play is Chiefs versus Eagles. I think the other one is Bills Texans. If you're comfortable with the Bills, I'm still gonna let the Bills kind of age a bit, ferment a bit, whatever you want to say for the season, really get a better idea of what they are, because I think they're playing okay, but they should be playing better. And a team that should be good but isn't playing up to their standards is a dangerous team, because any moment the floor could just come out from under them. So yeah, guys, hopefully that helped you out. Hopefully it helped you with your picks. Good luck with everything this week.